So here's a question for you. If you found out one of your favorite bands ever intentionally tried to sell out, would you like them any less? Would it even matter to you? Well, today's band was accused of selling out by an ex-band member. He said that they cared more about the money than the music. After just one commercial album, he quit. And I'm sure he would have hated the next album even more since it featured an undeniable mainstream breakout single, one of the most gut-wrenching songs of its day. This track is all about how this lead singer's girl cheated on him right in front of his face. It became so popular, it served as the catalyst for a decades-long career of worldwide superstardom. Sell out or savvy rockers? Either way, I don't think you could love their music any less. The story is coming up next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember flipping through the TV guide to figure out when your favorite shows were going to come on, the 3 channels that you had back then before cable, I guess you had PBS too, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now. I know you'll find something to dig on the channel. Click the big red button and click the bell and all that good stuff. I'm also wearing my Smith shirt, courtesy of Chaos Records. Check them out in Covina, California, a great record store. Also, check us out on Patreon, where we have even more content. It helps us keep it a daily channel. So I'm excited to return to another one of my favorite shows that we do on this channel. It's called Breakthrough. We haven't done one of these in a little bit. In this show, we break down songs, albums, or events that kicked open the door to an artist or band's career and gave them the momentum to rocket to long-term success. On today's episode, we're featuring Journey and their heartbreak classic, Lovin Touchin Squeezin. Lovin Touchin Squeezin. You know what? Journey's breakout moment, that really occurred over the space of 2 albums. Kind of unusual. It began with their multi-platinum 1978 album, Infinity. But strangely, that record didn't have a hit single on the radio, not a top 40 one anyway. So even with the commercially successful album in their pocket, Journey's breakout really wasn't complete until they released Lovin Touchin Squeezin. That, of course, came from their next album, 1979's Evolution. That's when this band really hit the big time. Journey was formed in 1973 in San Francisco and was comprised of ex-Santana members Neal Schon on guitar and Greg Rowley on keyboard and vocals, as well as bassist Ross Valerie, guitarist George Tickner, and drummer Perry Prince. Initially going by the name the Golden Gate Rhythm Section, the band would rename themselves Journey by New Year's Eve in 1973, when they debuted at San Francisco's Winterland Ballroom. The first of Journey's long list of lineup changes came in February of 1974 when drummer Perry Prince returned to his old band, The Tubes. He was replaced by Ainsley Dunbar. This early iteration of Journey specialized in jazz rock, complete with lengthy and improvised solo spots. Vocals and lyrics took a backseat to the instrumental. Journey signed with Columbia Records in the fall of 1974, and then they released their self-titled debut on April 1st, 1975. It would sell a modest 100,000 copies. Then after a lengthy U.S. tour aimed to generate more exposure, guitarist George Tickner left the band to attend Stanford Medical School. This was in April of 75. He was not replaced, and Journey continued forward with just one guitarist. That's all they really needed. Journey's sophomore album, Look Into the Future, that dropped in January of 1976, and their third LP, Next, was released in February of 1977. However, sales continued to disappoint, and Journey, as of yet, had failed to land a single on the Hot 100 at all. Not surprisingly, Columbia Records, they were getting impatient. The record label demanded Journey get a frontman, and following a brief tenure by Robert Fleischman in 1977, the band settled on the man who would come to be known simply as The Voice. Talking about Mr. Steve Perry. Officially joining the band on October 10th, 1977, Perry was the piece that Journey needed to put them over the top for sure. But adding a lead singer into the mix wasn't the only change. The band also decided that they needed a musical overhaul to attract a larger audience. They needed to go commercial. Looking back, Neal Schon summed up their mindset saying, and I quote, "We wanted to be successful, we wanted to compete, and we took the steps that we thought were right to do so. We're not copying out, we're just trying to make money. Otherwise, you can't live." Yeah, of course. Never understood the sellout thing. I mean, to a point, right? So the band recharged their course in the direction of highly sophisticated arena rock. For their next record, 1978's Infinity, they brought in Roy Thomas Baker, who was fresh from working with the Cars and Queen.
You got back bottom girls, you make the rockin' world go round. I guess you're just what I need, that's what I need.
He gave Journey's sound a punchier, more dynamic edge. Infinity, that was a major success, reaching number 21 on the Billboard 200, and it went triple platinum in the US alone. Curiously though, even with these achievements, Infinity failed to score a mainstream top 40 hit. I mean, sure, there were songs that we now think of as Journey classics, or really classics of rock overall, like Will and This Guy and Lights. But both of them failed to even break the top 50. They stalled at number 57 and number 68 respectively.
Ooh, the wheel in the sky keeps on turning when the lights go down in the city.
But both singles got them radio play, and the band members were thrilled with the success of their new style. Well, most of them anyway. Turns out drummer Aynsley Dunbar, he was anything but thrilled. Feeling like he'd sold his artistic soul to go commercial, Dunbar was 100% at odds with this new direction for the band.
You make me weak.
Aynsley Dunbar, who was an improvisational master, said, and I quote, "They wanted to play everything exactly note for note according to the record. I never wanted to do that, but I did that for the last album. It bored the shit out of me. They could never understand my freedom. They don't understand my playing." End of quote. That's him. Convinced that Journey had sold out with Infinity, he left the band on bad terms. This happened in October of '78. Afterwards, in a 1979 interview with BAM, he threw out this caution. "You believe that financial success is going to do it for you, but it never does. All the financial success in the world can't touch your artistic feeling." An artistic purist to the core, Dunbar said that getting out of Journey was the best thing that ever happened to him. That's interesting because they blew up after. After escaping from Journey, Dunbar boarded Jefferson Starship and he contributed to 3 albums. As for the boys at Journey, they hired Steve Smith to man the drum kit and kept plowing ahead with their new direction.
He's tearing you apart.
For Evolution, Journey reunited with Roy Thomas Baker. However, Steve Perry would say in an interview with Sounds that the band wasn't so thrilled with his contributions on Infinity. Reportedly, they only consented to work with Baker again because they liked his engineer Jeffrey Workman. Said Perry, and I quote, "Roy was out driving his Rolls Royce or doing shopping half the time we were recording Evolution. It's really just produced by us and Jeffrey." But even without Baker's full attention, Evolution still lived up to its name. This album showed the world that Journey was turning the page to a new chapter. Its sound was pure, polished, American melodic rock at its best. According to Steve Smith, Evolution was a natural continuation from Infinity. The next step, he said, we wanted to just try and further grow on that Infinity's concept a bit more. The concept was good songs and a lot of vocals. But according to Steve Perry, Evolution wasn't just a progression in Journey's sound, but in popular music altogether. He said, and I quote, "So many people sound the same right now. Sit back and listen, and I think you'll realize that we are the most different sounding band. You cannot compare us to anyone. And by staying individual sounding, we're taking a big chance. We're trying to make our own statement. We're not walking into anybody else's shoes." And you know what? You think about it, that's exactly right. Journey doesn't sound like anybody.
When I'm alone.
I mean, bands have tried to sound like Journey, but Journey doesn't sound like anybody. So released in April of 1979, Evolution, like its predecessor, sold over 3 million copies in the US and one-upped Infinity's chart position. It actually reached number 20. The album featured 3 singles. Just the Same Way, Too Late, and today's featured song, Lovin Touchin Squeezin.
That's the same way you love me. That's the same way she loves you. She will stop not to live all by myself.
Emerging out of a jam session, Lovin Touchin Squeezin started with Steve Perry just playing around on bass. And then the other band members joined in. The way that Steve Smith described it, writing songs was a collaborative effort for Journey. They worked all together in a rehearsal room, and the music for Lovin Touchin Squeezin developed in a jam session style situation. Most of Journey's music came about this way, jams that were progressively fine-tuned into songs. It was an effective way for Journey to write because it tapped into their collective creative psyche. As we further break down the song, I want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, the glasses I always wear. Right now, you can get Zenni's newest offering, IQ Lens. Innovative eye protection for all, whether you wear prescription glasses or not, helps shield your eyes from harmful UV light, blue light, and infrared exposure. With light-adapting technology, they seamlessly shift between indoors and out with ease. IQ Lens offers eye protection without compromise, engineered for on-the-go lifestyle. Click on our info button to get yours today. So Steve Perry was also the catalyst for the song's lyrics as well. Though at the time, he kind of wished he hadn't been. That's because Lovin Touchin Squeezin's punch to the stomach lyrics were very true to life. When Perry sings, "You make me weep, I wanna die," he actually felt that way because his girl cheated on him. I mean, big time. On VH1 Storyteller, Steve said, and I quote, "It had happened to me. The thing with the song, she was out with someone else and doing the deal, the wild thing, and I was monogamous to the relationship." And then in the liner notes of Journey's 1992 Time3 compilation, Steve Perry shared a few more details about it. He recounted that he actually watched through a window as his girlfriend got out of a Corvette and gave the driver a long, loving, passionate goodbye kiss. Ouch. You're tearing me apart. But you know what? Perry gets his revenge with this song, immortalizing this girl. In fact, he called the song Love Justice. In the lyrics, not only does he sing about her dirty deeds, but he also delivers a payback scenario where this cheating girl's lover doesn't come home. Because he's loving, he's touching, he's squeezing somebody else. And then after singing "Now It's Your Time, Girl" to cry, Perry launches into the song's iconic "Nah Nah Fade Out," which sounds something like a little bit of a schoolyard taunt. As in, I'm taking this song to the bank and you're not coming with me. According to Steve Perry, this irresistible sing-along ending came later in the songwriting process, while Journey was on the road. I guess he and Neal Schon were jamming backstage when all of a sudden, in Steve's words, the na-nas, they just suddenly came out. Released on June 25th, 1979, Lovin Touchin Squeezin became Journey's highest charting single to date, and by far. It was the group's first single to break into the top 20. Actually, it was their first to break into the top 50. Lovin Touchin Squeezin climbed to number 16 in July of '79, and it did one better on the US Cashbox chart, hitting number 15. Internationally, Lovin Touchin Squeezin reached number 37 in New Zealand and number 12 in Canada. The success of this song was a massive milestone for Journey, completing the breakthrough that had started with Infinity. Long gone were the days of jazz rock fusion and improvisation. I mean, nothing would ever be the same for Journey ever again. From this point, they would progress into one of the biggest rock acts of the 80s. I mean, consider how things played out from here. In terms of album chart position, Journey steadily climbed the Billboard charts with each release. Their self-titled debut, that started at number 138. Looking into the future, that reached number 100. Next, that went to number 85. Infinity jumped to number 21. Evolution went to number 20. Departure, number 8. Escape went to number 1. From there, Journey held pat in the top 5 for the next 3 albums. Just an incredible climb. And if you want to talk about single success, look no further than Journey's 1988 Greatest Hits. It's a perfect summation of the band's singles dominance. I mean, these guys sold albums and singles, one of those unique bands that did both. The 15-track compendium features 12 songs that were released after Lovin Touchin Squeezin. Of those, only one failed to break the top 25 on the Billboard Hot 100, and that's "Ah So Lonely." That's only because it wasn't released as a single in America, but it did go to number 3 on the mainstream rock charts. As far as the other 11 tracks, they averaged a number 12 spot on the Hot 100. Of those, "Open Arms" peaked at number 2, and "Who's Crying Now" reached number 4. And of course, "Don't Stop Believin'" was just named the biggest song of all time.
Don't stop believing.
Every track on this greatest hits collection is a classic. "Don't Stop Believin'," like I said, "Separate Ways, Worlds Apart," "Any Way You Want It." Easily one of the greatest hits albums ever. And that's who Journey became after Lovin Touchin Squeezin, a band stacked with iconic hits. Since his late 70s release, Lovin Touchin Squeezin has continued to leave its mark on music history. It's lived a long life in pop culture media. For example, it's appeared in TV shows like My Name is Earl, Freaks and Geeks, American Dad, and Glee. And it's been covered by bands and artists like Night Ranger, Yacht Rock Review, Better Than Ezra, Melissa Etheridge with Lindsay L. Foo Fighters even did it. You can also hear it in Dream Theater's The Big Medley. So let me wrap things up here with just one more story. I think this one will show just how uniquely talented Journey was back then, and is still, but back then. On July 28, 1979, Journey made an impressive and memorable appearance at the World Series of Rock in Cleveland, Ohio, an event that is typically remembered for all the wrong reasons, really. For those who may not be familiar, the World Series of Rock was an all-day, often multi-day summer concert held at Cleveland Stadium. It actually ran from 74 to 1980. Instigated by Cleveland rock station WMMS and DJ John Gorman, the festival brought together some of rock's biggest names. Top billing for 79 was Aerosmith, who was famously self-destructing by this point. That guitarist Joe Perry would quit the band after that performance. Journey was among the supporting acts that included Thin Lizzy, AC/DC, and Scorpions. Unfortunately, chaos and violence cast a long shadow over the event, even before the first note was played. Seating, that was first come, first serve, and on the eve of the concert, a crowd of 80,000 people gathered around the stadium. Criminal activity, it was rampant. Robberies, stabbings, even shootings. One fan even fell to his death after trying to scale the stadium wall. The rowdy atmosphere only escalated throughout the show. Drunken brawls broke out, and concertgoers tore the stadium grounds to shreds by the end of the first day. The event got so out of hand that day 2 was canceled, and that had acts like Foreigner, Kansas, even the Cars played that day. Yet in the midst of all the mayhem, one band rose above it all: Journey. They were the calm in the eye of the storm, turning in a brilliant performance highlighted by their new top 20 single, Lovin Touchin Squeezin. The audience was absolutely captivated. Said Gorman about it, "Journey just won the crowd over. People remember Journey at the World Series of Rock probably better than most of the bands because they were just highly entertaining. When you can take 80,000 people and put them in the palm of your hand, that's a pretty big accomplishment." His quote. That's what Journey did. That's what they're still doing. Here's proof that they were ready to take the world by storm. This performance, along with Evolution and Lovin Touchin Squeezin, would cement them as superstars. With a wide array of hit songs, to Ainsley Dunbar's chagrin. But he was dead wrong here. Journey, they didn't sell out. Everybody else bought in. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Leave us a comment about Journey and Lovin Touchin Squeezin. What are your memories of the song? What are your memories of early Journey when Steve Perry came in? I remember, the first time I heard Perry's voice, it was a revelation. In my opinion, the greatest singer of all time. That's my opinion. The greatest rock singer, just a voice. I'm going with Steve Perry, you know that. Tell me what you think below. Let's have a great discussion. One of my favorite bands ever. Check out KS Records. Check us out on Patreon. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth. Subscribe.